Hello there everyone and welcome to a new review on the channel, and today we're going to be looking at a relatively new product, and that is a download from Penguin Magic, and it is called Ignis by Sid T. It's essentially a vanishing match slash production of coins in the hand. It's very interesting if you do coin magic. I think some parts of it are better than others, but I will unpack everything for you right after the intro, so let's get right into it. Perfect, so decide to stick around, which means you want to learn more about Ignis. So what is Ignis? Ignis, as I said, is a vanishing match, a classic vanishing match effect, but that has a kicker ending of a 3-4 coin production in your hand, or it can be other things, it can be candies, it can be whatever you want. So in terms of performance, I will not be performing it live for you, but I did record a performance for you, so I'm going to put it on the side of the screen while I continue talking, so you're going to get to see it right there. So while that is playing, I'm going to tell you where you purchase this, how much does it cost, and what do you get. So you can buy this directly from Penguin Magic, but I also know it is available at some local magic dealers that have some downloads for you. So if your local magic dealers does produce downloads, you'll probably find it over there. It will set you back $9.99 USD, which is around 14 Canadian dollars. And what you get is an instructional video with some files. So the instructional video that you get is very good quality with the actual creator of the effect. It has live performances on it, and it runs just a bit over an hour. It's around an hour, 15 minutes. And what you're gonna get as well is you're gonna get some files. If you're in the US and you don't have access to match boxes, because you're gonna need one for this effect, he gives you a file for you to print out your own and make your own matchbox by hand. I don't think that's the best idea. I think there is, on Amazon, you can definitely find some matchboxes if you really like this effect to do it. I think it's better to just have it already constructed, because there's already some construction that you have to do with this anyway in order to make it work, which I'm going to talk to you about right now before we get into difficulty. Because since this is a download, there is no gimmick provided to you, which means that you will have to make your own gimmick. Now, the instructions in the video are very well explained and they're very good, which means that making the gimmick is relatively easy. I'm not an amazing gimmick maker, but I was able to make, the gimmick and what I needed to do in around 30 or so minutes, and it works well. So I was able to do it. You need some basic stuff, but usually things that you have already in the house, such as, scissors, an X-Acto knife, some paper, some super glue, and that's pretty much it. It's relatively easy to do. And you will need, of course, a matchbox. So you're gonna have to test around different matchboxes to see. My matchbox here in Canada, which is this one, can fit 3 $half, but personally, 3 $half is very thick still. So I think it could fit maybe 3 Canadian dollars better than $half, or you can test your currency out and see if you can fit 3, 4, 2, 1, or, you can, as I said, you can do candies, you can do whatever you want to produce inside. You're gonna do your objects, and it took me around 30 minutes to build the gimmick. It wasn't that hard, and once you have your gimmick, it's gonna last a relatively long time. As long as you don't crush it or smudge it, it's gonna last you a very long time, and then making it again won't be that difficult. It's relatively easy to make, as I said, so you'll be good to go. So you will have to make your gimmick, and as you know, I'm not the biggest arts and crafts guy. I hate arts and crafts and I suck at it, but if I was able to make this gimmick and make it work, I'm sure that you will be able to. So now that you know about that, let's get into the difficulties. How difficult is the effect to perform? The effect is relatively easy to perform, but in my opinion, there's 2 effects here that can be dissected. There's the vanishing of the match and production of the coins, or simply the production of the coins. Personally, I'm more a fan of just the production of the coins, and I'll tell you why. For the vanishing match, you have to have multiple things with you, other gimmicks that you also need to have. You probably have one if you've been in Magic for a long time. You have to do a bit of prep, etc. And it's very handsy. So if you want to do the vanishing match and then the production of the coin, it's very handsy. You do have a lot of things going on that you have to remember. It's not super difficult. It can definitely be done, even in the performance, I did it for myself. Usually the spectator helps you out, which makes it very much easier. That's why in the performance, things are a bit more robotic, because I have to take out the match, I have to light the match, etc. Whereas in, actual performance, the spectator would be doing that. So keep that in mind. So it is relatively easy, but there is a lot of moving parts. And personally, the disappearance of the match and appearance of the coin is great, but personally I think just having a spectator take out a match, You ask them, can you light the match? You know, you have your hand closed, the whole time visible. You take the kind of smoke from the match and you kind of like direct it in your hand, and then you could do something kind of like this and produce 3 coins. I think that's much better. It's quicker, it's easier to do, it has less stuff that you need to carry around, and it's very good. So personally, if I'm going to use this, it's going to be more in making the coins appear in a very interesting way with some fire, with some flash paper too. You can hand them some flash paper, you tell them hold that, you take it and you ask them to light the flash paper, and then you just grab, you know, some things from the air, or you can just like bring your hand over the flame and produce the coins. I think it's much better than the match vanish, but it's up to you. If you want, you can also just do the match vanish. So if you don't even want to produce the coins, you can just learn how to make a match vanish and you're good. So you have different effects, different difficulty levels, different carrying capacities to have with you in order for that. But overall, it's relatively easy to learn. The gimmick that you build does most of the work for you for the coin production. You just have to work on the match disappearance. So now that we've talked about that, let's get into the actual practicality of this. So in order to perform this, let's say the full routine, which is match vanish and coins, you'll need to carry around your matchbox and your extra gimmick that you need for the match vanish. If you just want to do the coins, you just have to carry around the matchbox. If you just want to do the match vanish, you're still going to have to carry around the matchbox and the gimmick. So overall, you can choose if you want to, if the match vanish is part of your choice, you need the matchbox and the gimmick. If you just want to do the coins, you just need the matchbox, and that is it, okay? So that is in terms of carrying capacity. In terms of angles, the angles for this are pretty good. I would say 270. In certain cases, you can maybe do it 360, but I wouldn't recommend it. I think 270 is the best. So 270, 180, it will work perfectly for you. In terms of examinability, the coins are examinable, but the matchbox is not examinable. But the fact that the spectator does take out the matches themselves, uses the matchbox to light it, and gives it back to you, I think that makes it an examinable object. But, you know, if you give it back to them, they can't, you know, take it apart and look at it. They won't be able to. But except for that, the coins are examinable. The match that they burn is examinable. The matchbox isn't really examinable, especially at the start. It's not something that you're going to give out, but neither at the end I would. But if you want to do switches for matchbox and complicate yourself, you can do it. But you don't necessarily need to, because they do take the match and light it, which makes it inspectable in my eyes. And the extra gimmick that you have, it is not inspectable, but it is not something that they see at all during the effect, and something that you can ditch very easily, okay? Now, I've also been talking about all this, but there's also some additional ideas you can do. He tells you how you can do a card trick with this and some other stuff as well. I've missed saying that at the start, but again, you know, if you want to have cards or etc. with you, you can have those in terms of carrying capacity, but that is just an additional thought. In terms of table, you do not need a table for this. In terms of reset, the reset will take maybe around 5 or so seconds in order to reset the effect. And that is all we have to say about practicality. Now let's talk about where you perform this. If you perform coin magic and you want to produce coins in a very interesting way, this is good and it will work. So if you do coins in stage, close-up, parlor, video, whatever, you can use this to produce your coins. It's going to work perfectly. So anywhere that you do your coin magic and you would like to make appear 3 coins, Ignis is good for you. So now that we've said all of this, what are the positives and negatives of Ignis? First, let's go with the negatives. One of the negatives is that the matchbox is not examinable per se, but again, it shouldn't necessarily be examinable, which is because they do touch it quite a few times during the performance, but it is something to keep in mind because some people really are obsessed with examinability, so it is something to keep in mind. A second negative is that I feel the match vanish and coin production is a good routine, but I think it involves a bit too much to my taste to justify having it. I think the coin production is the best part of this and the most interesting part of it, so that's how I'm going to use it, but you keep that in mind. In terms of positives, 1, it is very cheap. The instructional video is top quality. The instructions are clear. The gimmick is relatively easy to build. It's something that's going to relatively last also a very long time. It's easy to make. The coin production is fun. It's relatively easy to do as well. And it can be performed anywhere you do your coin magic to produce 3 coins. So now that I've said all of this, would I recommend Ignis by Sid T, and what do I give it out of 10? Would I recommend Ignis? I think if you're looking for a vanishing match effect with a coin appearance, I think this is one of the best because I've not seen many of them. So I think go ahead and purchase this. If you just want a production of 3 coins that is empty hands, because a lot of coin productions, you have to palm and then you do, your cleanups and you do your transfers. But this offers you the opportunity to come out with your hands absolutely clean. You show, you rattle the box, you have the coin, you have someone take a match, your hands remain empty, and then you can produce the coins without ever having to go to your pockets. So if you want something like that to produce 3 coins, I think this is great as well. But of course, if you're not a coin magician, I don't think you're gonna get a kick out of this. So what am I giving it out of 10? I'm giving it a 7.75 on 10. It's a good effect, it's really well priced, it does what it's supposed to do, but it's not necessarily my style of magic, so I can't give it more, but it is still very good for what it's supposed to do, and I think it does have its audiences and the people that are going to enjoy performing this and to use this because it does work and it does do what it's supposed to do. So having said all this, that's all I have to say about Ignis. If you have any additional questions, leave them down below. If not, I'll see you all in my next review. Have a good one, and bye.